on Thursday, establishment media flat out refused to broadcast the first day of an impeachment inquiry into the President of the United States. They continue to sink lower and lower. The D.C. machine, panicked and desperate, see the polls. They will do whatever they need to stop what's coming in 2024, including refusing to broadcast one of the most important checks and balances a government can undertake. As they continually blow up your TV every single time our former president gets hit with even a minor politically charged allegation. After destroying more of their credibility by ignoring the beginning of an impeachment inquiry, the establishment press stuck to its new routine, ignoring loads of damning evidence against Joe Biden, the president, only highlighting moments that they can spin as exculpatory and repeating Democrat talking points. This is how they sounded.
We were open to hearing new evidence. There wasn't any. And take that snapshot of those guys and women in that room for 6.5 hours on a road to nowhere.
The White House has denied any wrongdoing. And minutes into the hearing, the Republicans' own witnesses knocked some of the allegations down.
I do not believe that the current evidence would support articles of impeachment.
No evidence yet of President Biden committing a crime.
But if someone could tell me in 3 to 4 sentences what it is that Joe Biden did that rises to the level of high crimes and misdemeanors, I'm all for it. I did not hear that.
No evidence that any of these millions, even a single penny of it, went to Joe Biden directly.
Not even a single penny of it went to Joe Biden. CNN ensuring its Biden-obsessed viewership, there's no evidence Biden got any of the money. It's too bad for that guy that the bar for bribery corruption for a politician includes doing favors that benefit your family, because it's so obvious if your family's benefiting that you are too. Last night, CNN also went after an extremely powerful text message that clearly showcases Joe's involvement in all this. The pro-Biden producers at CNN knew that this needed to be debunked to protect the president, so they made their best attempt. It is the message that Jim Biden sent to Hunter right after a New York Times article exposed how the head of CEFC China was working to buy influence in the United States. That in 2015, Yi Jianming, also known as Chairman Yi, was courting the Bidens. They even met in 2017, but at the time, the New York Times said it was unclear if the Bidens ever made a deal with China. We know the truth of that now. Yesterday, Congressman Byron Donalds read only parts of the text between James and Hunter Biden. He didn't read the whole thing, showing that James telling Hunter that he needs safe harbor and James saying he can work with Joe Biden alone. Well, CNN saw that only part of it was read. They attempted to seize on this to exonerate the president from the allegation that his brother was stating that he and Joe were working together. Take a look at what they did.
Congressman Donalds did leave out critical context. And the actual context shows that Hunter Biden was saying he's run out of money and he can't pay his kids' school tuition, he can't pay for gas and food, can't pay alimony without help from his father. And then James Biden responds that it's kind of vague language, that basically they can work on this, that he can work with his father alone, he can be a safe harbor. There was no indication anywhere in that exchange that was released by House Republicans that this was about business dealings, let alone the foreign business dealings that House Republicans have been focused on.
All right, so let's go through the full exchange with a little more insight and debunk the CNN debunk. In the first part of the text, Hunter clearly shows he's flat broke. He says he can work all day and night. He can't make alimony payments. CNN says Hunter is simply talking about needing dad to loan him money. But ask yourself, does it sound like Joe's brother Jim is really talking about simply asking Joe to give Hunter money in his response? Now, we're going to show it to you here. He says, this can work. This is Jim to Hunter. This can work. You need a safe harbor. I can work with your father alone. We, as usual, just need several months of his help for this to work. Let's talk about it. It makes perfect sense to me. This is difficult to fully vet without talking. Will you please call me on W/A? We can develop a plan together. It can work. I'm going to try to call you again. Please answer. I can and I will. Crisis with Caroline. Same problem with P and New York Post. Dealing with it as we speak. She's okay. I believe I have it under control, and I'll get back to you ASAP. I wanted to show everything there so that CNN can't try to play the same game again. By the way, the crisis with Caroline, they're referring to Biden's niece, you know, the one who tried to beat up the NYPD cops back in 2013. Such a lovely family. But back on subject, Jim says, I can work with your father alone. We, as usual, just need several months of his help for this to work. Does that sound like anything about getting Joe Biden to loan his son some money? To you? This is about convincing Dad to go in on another round of influence peddling. We just need his help for a few more months, and then we're on easy street for a long time because we can get a lot of money out of this guy. Because Hunter blew through all his cash on crack and hookers. We, as usual, just need several months of his help for this to work, James says to Hunter Biden. Does that sound like somebody asking for a loan? CNN wants us to believe that's how Jim Biden would phrase convincing Joe Biden to give Hunter a couple bucks to get by. We only need his help for a few months for this to work. It doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense. And they know that. They just think you're really stupid. And maybe their viewers are. The other big Democrat and media defense on China is that the massive Chinese payouts, millions of dollars, to the Bidens and to Hunter's business partners, well, it was all paid after Joe left the White House. He was a private citizen, they scream. On this one, our matrix media is playing dumb, and they hope that you follow them along. They're just pretending to be very naive. They're allowing the lamest tricks from this incredibly feeble and corrupt family work perfectly on them because they want those tricks to work. As Nancy Mace clearly explained yesterday, it's simply back pay.
We know CEFC was working with the Biden family while Joe Biden was vice president. Hunter Biden and James Biden did not receive compensation because Joe Biden was still vice president during this time period. There is a concern it would be improper for payments to be made to Hunter Biden and James Biden by CEFC due to its close affiliation with the Chinese government. Hunter Biden and James Biden both wanted to be compensated for the assistance they had provided to CEFC's ventures. The Bidens, coincidentally, were paid over $1 million by CCP-affiliated Chinese company CEFC shortly after Joe Biden left office as vice president. Now we know why, because it was back pay.
Back pay. Last night we spoke with one of the experts from the House hearing. He told us it is a very common maneuver, back pay.
I have seen that before, and it's basically a deferred payment. So the question is, what was done for that payment, and now it's being deferred till after he leaves office. Was there intent to structure it that way? And if it's proven that there was intent to structure it that way, that's a problem, certainly.
So if it's not obvious enough, just take a look at when the China money began pouring in for the Bidens. This makes it very obvious. February 16, 2017. Biden had been in the White House for 8 years, and not even a full month after he left, millions of Chinese dollars began filling up the accounts of his son, his brother, and 7 other members of his family. Now, that first payment was to Hunter, the infamous $80,000 diamond from Chairman Yi. The blushing bride right there on the screen. Feels like an engagement ring, doesn't it? Hunter would make such a beautiful Shanghai housewife. And after the ring, the money kept pouring in. Millions and millions and millions of dollars, close to $10 million, that they managed to make. Somehow, in just the 3 weeks after Joe Biden got out of the White House, they figured out a way to make like $9 million from the Chinese. I wish I could figure out a way to make $9 million in 3 weeks. That would be frickin' impressive. Not that smart. Neither are they, though. In reality, this was just Joe Biden's retirement plan, and the money started pouring in 3 weeks after he walks out of the White House. Hunter gets an engagement ring from Chairman Yi, and then millions pours in. But again, there's just no evidence that Joe Biden had anything to do with this. Isn't that obvious? Listen to the media. They're not going to lie to you. Why would they do that?